And welcome back, guys, to the recap of round number 6 of the Mitropa Cup. Today I will approach the video a little bit different. It's going to be a bit of a shorter one, just mixing things up. So I want to show you two different games from yesterday's round, two different moments which I thought were quite interesting without getting too much into the tournament standings in today's video. It was round number 6. We are going to look a bit closer to the tournament standings once the tournament approaches the end. In case you are just tuning in and haven't watched the previous recaps of the tournament, I'm not playing myself, but I am sharing some insights on the Mitropa Cup, which is taking place in Austria this year. It is the 50th edition, so a big anniversary for the Mitropa Association. The Mitropa Cup is a yearly held event which features most of Middle European nations, so it's a team tournament, kind of the same format as the European Team Championship or the Olympiad, where 4 players are playing for each team, 4 against 4, and at the end, the team that scores more points in the individual matches gets the team point. And if it's 2-2, then both teams get 1 point. And if one team wins, for example, 2.5, they will get 2 match points. So just a quick summary. Now let's have a look at the 2 games I want to show you. There was a big matchup between Austria and Italy yesterday, which resulted in quite a brutal loss for Austria. It was 4-0 for Italy in the very end. Which was, of course, unfortunate for all of the Austrian fans and a great day for the Italian fans. I did not expect it to be like this. I mean, the matchup itself, if you look at the ratings, is very similar, and it's not possible to expect such a result. And also looking at the games, it was not. It was a bit unlucky that it ended that way. For example, this was one of the games which I thought was quite interesting, which was board number 3. Laurens Bormann for Austria against Francesco Bettali. And here there was quite a nice combination for black. It was a Sicilian Moscow / Rosalimo with bishop e5 d6. So this is how it went. And in this moment, black had quite an interesting positional strategical idea. White played the move b4, which in general in this Maroczy structure can often have some downsides, mostly that the pawn on c4 can become weak. And Laurens tried to immediately put more pressure onto c4 by playing knight e5. But here after queen e2, it was not so simple to actually put pressure, even more pressure on the pawn, because if bishop d7, it will hit the pawn, but it will also allow knight d5 to be played. So then he switched plans, played a5. And of course, the pawn on c4 is a weakness, but now all of a sudden, white does get quite a bit of piece activity and is also able to protect the pawn on c4. Now the position was around equal. Later on, Laurens lost under pressure, specifically on the clock as well, even though it was still a big fight. Now there was quite a nice idea for black after b4, which is pretty unexpected, but in fact you can take on d4 in this position. You are getting rid of your important fianchetto bishop, but very often in those Maroczy structures, at least if queens are off the board, it's not as big of a deal anymore, because of course the king is now not going to get checkmated anymore. And more importantly, now the issues with the c4 pawn, they really start to hurt white quite a bit. There is an immediately a pretty good way to do that, which is the move knight b6. And now all of a sudden also e5 can be a threat. Or maybe also moving the bishop just to d7 could also be an idea. And here it's quite an unpleasant situation for white. I'm not so sure what they can do. If they go knight d5, for example, you could even take with the bishop. And if e d5, then the c4 pawn will drop. And if c d5, now all of a sudden, all of black's pieces are getting into the game nicely, and black should have a very good position here. Yeah, knight b6 is not even like the only move here. I think you can also do something like b6 and maybe slowly double on the c file, like bishop b7, rook c7, rook c8. But this was a nice idea, which would have definitely given black a position to play for 2 results here. Maybe Lawrence was just even more ambitious, thought that he can play like this, and c4 will be dropping soon, but it was the safest bet just to get the queens off the board. But you need to make this big decision to get rid of the or to exchange your often important bishop on g7. All right, so the next game I want to show you was a bit or one specific position of the matchup between Hungary and the Czech Republic. This was if you're more experienced, you will probably immediately guess that this was the 4-knight Sicilian with knight d5, bishop c5, bishop f4, in which then white can exchange this dark squared bishop, which also happened in the game, and will have a nice bind on the dark squares, but black's position is also not all that bad because they will get some counter chances with b5, which is also what happened in the game. If we skip a couple of more moves ahead, f3, knight e8, kicking out the annoying queen on d6, and white went all the way back to h2, which was already an interesting decision. Not 100% sure if this was still preparation, because white did spend a little bit of time, but also not that much. And it does actually set up a nice trap, which black ran into, which is that the move queen c7 was played. And after that, white has a nice, almost winning idea on the spot. So if you want to try to solve it yourself, make sure to stop the video. Queen c7 runs into big trouble. Instead of queen c7, I think black just should do something else, like maybe knight c6. I don't know if you can consider d6, even though the pawn could become weak. Move like queen b6 also makes some sense to me. But white will anyway continue to play maybe h5. If black goes h6, you can try to get g4, g5 in the long run. But after queen c7, there is almost a forced win here, which is the move knight takes b5. Very unexpected, but it turns out that after black takes on h2 and then would take on b5, there's just rook d7, and all of a sudden it's a double attack, which we don't really see that often in the Sicilian, especially because there's not really that often a knight on e7 in those open Sicilian lines. So, I mean, here I think black can just resign, because also the pawn on b5 will fall very soon after that. So in the game, black tried a takes b5, but now anyway, queen c7, knight c7, rook d7, and it's white is also just regaining the piece. 2 pawns up at the moment, and the pawn on b5 is gonna fall soon as well. Black did have this idea of bishop c6, which does trap the rook, but now white even sacrificed the exchange, and this position with 3 pawns for the exchange is, I would say, completely winning, and I don't think that white had many troubles to convert that. Just the pawns on the queen set are way too strong here, and it's not going to be that difficult to mobilize them in the long run. Yeah, so that was it for today. Only an 8-minute video so far, but I thought I would mix it up a bit, not go into that much depth, but just show you 2 nice bits of the open section for today's video. So today also the round is going to start at 2 p.m. And one thing I can tell you is that at least in the open section, there's a big contention between Italy and France to win the event. Both of the teams are on 10 match points each, and I think they have played each other before. So it's going to come down to firstly, who is going to win all of the remaining matches, and secondly, who is going to score more board points in the end. So there might be a very, very close rivalry in the very end between those 2 teams. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more of you can head to the video description down below. You can find my socials, my website, felixblohberger.com, and also some of the courses which I've published in the past. You can find them in the video description. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.